This is crazy, guys. All right, I have just been sent one of the most crazy takeoff videos that I think I've ever seen. It's a guy called IL-62 who shot this amazing footage. There's a link to the full video here in the description, but it was a friend of mine who highlighted it to me. So yeah, without further ado, let's have a look at it. The video is about 50 seconds long, and start off normal enough. You know, I'm betting that MS Aviator 22 was just, you know, out here doing some normal flight spotting, and I was expecting to see a normal takeoff. So we can see this. The aircraft is an IL-62. It's a 4-engine, quite rare Russian aircraft. Around about here, you would expect it to start rotating, and it doesn't. Still doesn't. And now it starts rotating again. Oh, it almost takes like the shrubbery next to the runway with it. You can see that it's flying debris and it's taking the gear up, but it is hardly climbing. That is some craziness right there. Okay, all right, guys. So, yeah, this actually has me a little bit loss of words. When you take off with a transport category aircraft, it doesn't matter if it's cargo or if it's passengers, you have to do some serious performance calculations, all right? You have to make sure that the aircraft is within weight and balance limits. You do that when you get your load sheet. And then when you know what kind of weights you have, then you have to you know, take in the weather data. So what's the temperature like? What's the pressure like? What's the wind like? What kind of runway are we using? Is the runway wet? Is it slippery? Is it dry? You take all of this information in and you put it into either your manuals, if you're doing it manually, or you take up your electronic flight bag and you input the data there, okay? And the reason you do that is because you have to make sure that you can safely take off from this runway. And there are several different things that might happen. Basically, we calculate on 3 different scenarios. The first is that all engines work and that we are able to take off, okay? If that's the case, you have to make sure that the engines can produce enough thrust for us to take off and be at the screen height of 35 feet at the end of the runway with a 15% of runway to spare. So you have a 15% margin if all engines are operating. Now, the other thing that might happen, and I've done a specific video on that, is if you have an engine failure. All right, so you accelerate up to V1 speed, you have an engine failure there, and you decide that you are going to take off. All right, so it's just after V1. In that case, you have to continue to accelerate now on the remaining engines. You have to rotate at the rotation speed, lift off, and you still need to be at 35 feet at the runway threshold, okay? And the third thing that might happen is that you accelerate up to V1, and just prior to V1, you have an engine failure and you decide to reject the takeoff. And in that case, you need to, you know, first of all, have enough time, it's about 2 seconds to react to it. And then you perform the rejected takeoff maneuver and you have to stop within the available runway distance. That's the accelerate stop distance. Okay, so that has to be satisfied on every single takeoff. And if you cannot do that, it turns out that you have too little engine thrust, well then you either have to get off some cargo or some baggage or some passengers, or you have to wait until the conditions improve. That might be by letting them clear the runway if there's contaminants on the runway, for example, or get the braking action under control, something like that. Now, there's no choice here, right? Because you have to make sure that you have the available safety margins. On top of that, after takeoff, you also have to abide with certain performance criteria. The takeoff is divided into 4 different segments. First segment is from takeoff up until you take gear up. It's not too much requirements there, and it's a very short segment. The second segment is the segment that has most performance requirements on it. It's the second segment climb from when the gear is up until about 400 feet, or when you start accelerating to retract the flaps. And during that second segment, if you have a 2-engine aircraft, you need to achieve 2.4% climb. Okay, that's quite restrictive. If you have a 3-engine aircraft, you need to have 2.7% climb. And if you have a 4-engine aircraft, like in the case of the IL-62, you have to have 3% climb, right? So you need to be able to climb away from the runway. Then you have an acceleration segment where you don't have to climb much at all. And then after that, once flaps are up, then you have the fourth segment, which has slightly lower climb restrictions on it. So the second segment tends to be the segment that is most restrictive. And as you can see on this footage right here, like these guys are taking the gear up, but they're hardly climbing at all. They're just kind of floating away in the ground effect towards those hills there, which would be really interesting to see how this video continues actually. But this makes me really, really sad to see, and actually I'm shocked to see this, because, dude, like, these guys are rotating basically on the threshold markings here. If something were to happen there, you know, they have no chance. And if they lose an engine, they will not be able to climb. It's obvious. So this is not the way it's supposed to be. I don't know what the background is behind this. This is obviously a cargo aircraft. I don't know which airline it is that's flying this. But no matter what, they are not at 35 feet under any way, shape or form in this video, even though it seems like they have all 4 engines operating, because there's no tendency to a yaw or anything. So they had 4 engines operating at what I assume is max thrust, and they were maybe 10 feet off the ground maximum. Crazy. Guys, if you find stuff like this on the internet, videos that you want explained, or maybe you've done something funny yourself in the flight sim, obviously not in real life, then you can send that in to me. You can go into my Discord server. There's an invitation to the Discord server down here, just free to join for everyone, and you can, you know, send me the link there. There's a specific part in the server for coming with suggestions of crazy shit like this. Or you can send it in to mentor.pilot@gmail.com. That works as well. I'd love to do more reaction videos and explain more stuff to you. And I hope that you like it as well, so that you have subscribed to the channel and that you highlight the little notification bell. And before you go, guys, we have to go down to MS Aviator 22 and we have to send him some real Mentor love. All right, so make sure you subscribe to his channel as well. Give him some thumbs up. I think he has about 600 subscribers or something right now. So let's see if we can get him up above 1,000. That would be really cool. Have an absolutely fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Right, guys, I really hope that you liked that. If you want more content like that, more aviation content, well then, check this out. I hope that you have subscribed to the channel and that you've highlighted the little notification bell. See you inside of the Mentor Aviation app, and have an absolutely fantastic day. Bye-bye.